95.7 The Game breaking news.
The Nevada State Assembly has passed the bill to have the Oakland A's relocate to Las Vegas, Nevada. The Nevada Assembly has passed the bill. It will now go to the governor. The governor's going to say yes. Then it'll go to MLB. MLB is going to say yes.
Do you know what the vote was? Do you have that in front of you?
This literally just came down that it passed. So we'll get that soon.
Beautiful.
But courtesy Bob Nightingale, 1 minute ago, the Nevada State Assembly has passed the bill after it came out of the Senate yesterday. So the Oakland A's have all they need in terms of the Nevada government. They have all they need except for the governor's signature, who has already said that he's a yes. So that's all they need.
And then Major League Baseball, 75% of teams have to say yes.
Correct.
And I'm racking my brain to think about what teams might possibly offer up a no and what reason they would have to offer up a no. And I can't think of any team that would want to prevent the A's from leaving a situation where, for whatever reason, and we know the reasons, but the A's have not drawn well. The A's have not been that successful. They've been a drain on Major League Baseball in their current spot in Oakland, and they have a chance to get a new lease on life in Las Vegas. The other thing that Bob Nightingale put out before, Mark, and you shared this on our thread this morning, the idea about expansion and Oakland maybe being an expansion team if Major League Baseball does decide to expand. I don't know what their plans are as a sport to expand, but how does that hit you?
It hits me as unlikely, but it also hits me as if you went last night and you got it off your chest and you look around today and realize that maybe it was all for naught. Maybe it wasn't. You know, sometimes you send out a message and you think it wasn't heard, and sometimes it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you put it out there and it's not immediately evident what the positive aspect of it was, and then it comes around later. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you put a resume in at some company and they tell you, no, I'm sorry, we don't have anything for you now, and you give up on it and you never think about it again, and they call you 8 months later and they go, you know what? We got your resume on file. We think you're perfect for this position that just opened up. Would you like to come talk to us? This could be that. The A's fans sent a message last night that they are there. They are loud. There are enough of them. They are passionate. And if we get to that point in Major League Baseball and you're starting to look at cities where you could expand, why wouldn't Oakland be on the list?
Yeah, I'm looking at an AP story from earlier this year citing other cities like Nashville, Charlotte, Montreal, Portland, and Salt Lake City as possibilities. And I wonder if Major League Baseball did look to expand, and 32 teams sounds like a good solid round number, which would match what the NFL has. If you did grow to 32, would you want to go to a new city, a new market, as opposed to going back to Oakland and trying again? And I guess the answer would be, depends on who your expansion ownership would be in Oakland, as far as how viable it would be to try to come back again.
Right. So I will add, by the way, I want to make sure I'm getting this accurate in terms of the governmental process. It actually goes back to the Senate for a stamp of approval on what the Assembly just did. But again, this is all considered a foregone conclusion. Once the Assembly said yes, you get the stamp in the Senate. The governor's going to put the signature on it. Then it goes back to Major League Baseball for another relocation approval. And once they have that, viva Las Vegas. And bye-bye Tropicana, which had the cheapest craps tables on the strip. So I'm bummed about that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one Tropicana down and the other Tropicana yet to go, the Tampa Bay Rays Stadium, which will be the last hurdle in baseball's makeover in terms of trying to find better venues and better places. And maybe the Rays eventually leave Tampa Bay and wind up somewhere else.
Who knows? Yeah, you never know how it's going to turn. In fact, I watched one of the A's fans in the ballpark, in the parking lot last night. He was talking to a news reporter and said, you know, he remembers back when this was happening to the Giants. And it came damn close, as we all know. It's funny that you bring up Tampa because the Giants could have ended up there. And he said, you never know over a lifetime how this is going to turn. Like, yes, the Giants got their sparkling new ballpark in the year 2000, but what happens another 25 years from now when that place is considered old and decrepit and has possums in the broadcast booth? I don't know. Like, right? Could this affect the teams that you never think it could affect? Maybe. I have no idea.
Right.
Right? Because we've even detailed the way that through the years, there were times where the A's were the healthy team and Candlestick Park was cold and empty. So I have no idea which way it's going to go. The whole thing is sad. It's tragic. And for anybody who did go out there last night thinking that they legitimately had a shot to change this story, I think you changed a different story.
Maybe.
So it's not for naught. But if you thought you were going to change this story, I don't think many of you did.
Yeah.
But if you did, I mean, the way this is being talked about by the reporters now, this puppy is sealed. Bob Nightingale just tweeted moments ago, now the amended bill returns to the Senate, which already passed it on Tuesday, so they will. The Oakland A's will be relocating to Vegas once Governor Joe Lombardo gives his official approval, which he has already said he will. MLB owners will then vote on the relocation plan and make it official. So, yes, there are 3 more steps, except for we think that all 3 of them are a foregone conclusion.
Rubber stamp steps, basically.
The Oakland A's are moving to Vegas.
Yeah, and it sucks. And, to think about Oakland without any of its 3 teams, it's unfortunate. I never thought that it would come to this. I always had maintained that the A's would be the team to stay. The Warriors going to San Francisco is a minor blip for me in terms of the Warriors are still a Bay Area team, and I don't fault Joe Lacob for wanting to get new digs, and it's a state-of-the-art facility. It's a gorgeous new arena in a very new, growing part of San Francisco. I don't fault you for that, and I miss having the Warriors be so close to my house. I used to feed the kids dinner, 7 o'clock, leave the house at 7:15 and make it down to the old Oracle by 7:35. Easy. Make it down there for tip time, and I love the convenience. And Chase Center is not the easiest to get to, nor does it have copious amounts of parking, but that's where we are in this brave new world. The Raiders leaving, that one hurt because Raider games and Raider tailgates were among the most fun you could have without ever setting foot inside an NFL stadium. We used to go down just for the tailgate, go home and watch the game on TV. Super fun, the Raider tailgate. So that one hurt. But this one hits me even harder, Mark, because 81 games, and baseball is like a good friend, and you could pop down to the Coliseum when the A's actually cared about putting a competitive team on the field, and you can get affordable sports entertainment as an A's fan, and I'm going to miss the A's. It hurts.
Let me speak for Giants fans as well to say this. This stinks. I say that from the other side of the bay as well. I say that from the perspective of I always thought the Bay Bridge series was cool. I say this from the perspective of when you go to Giants-A's interleague games, the energy was different. One of the first games I went to post-COVID when fans were allowed back in the ballpark, it's actually one of those moments, everybody remembers the first time you were in a crowd and there were a lot of people and everybody was right next to each other, was a Giants-A's game. And in fact, Sean Manaea was pitching for the A's against the Giants at Oracle. I think it was a 1-0 baseball game. I feel like Kurt Casale hit a home run. I've got some vague memories of the whole thing. It was just a couple of years ago, but my God, the energy in the building was different. And sure, Giants fans through the years sometimes will scratch their head and go, why are all these A's fans out here at Oracle Park screaming and yelling about the A's, but they don't go to the actual A's games when they're in Oakland? And since then, and in the last 5 to 10 years, I've done a lot more reading about it, a lot more listening to people and understanding the intricacies of what has happened under the ownership of John Fisher. And this is not a team I root for, but it's the partner across the bay. And, it's funny when we talk about sports where there are teams tanking, and it's like, is your only reason for being here so that the good teams have someone to play? And I'm not saying the A's are that, but there is something lost in Giants baseball that the A's are not here on the other side of the Bay Bridge. I mean, That stinks for a Giants fan, too. And I don't say it from the perspective of a Giants fan because no Giants fan's looking for sympathy right now. My heart goes out to the A's and their fans, and I think Giants fans should hate this, too.
Yeah, and I think it hurts the entire Bay Area in terms of its relative importance as a professional sports community. Because if you go back 10 years ago, the Bay Area had 2 pro football, 2 Major League Baseball, an NBA, and an NHL. And we can put aside the San Jose Earthquakes that I love and the MLS, and now the Oakland Roots are the only professional sports team in Oakland, and they're in the second tier of professional soccer in the U.S., but in just 10 years or even less, you've gone from 2 football down to 1, 2 Major League Baseball down to 1, and an NBA. You are no longer one of the real sports meccas in terms of professional sports in the United States. You know, you talk about Chicago and New York and very few other communities that would have 2, 2, and 1, right. And now you're down to just 1, 1, and 1.
Yeah.
I think it hurts all of us in the Bay Area.
No doubt. So if you're just joining us, the Nevada Assembly has passed the bill to bring the A's to Vegas. It goes back to the Senate for a rubber stamp, goes to the government for a stamp, it goes to MLB for a stamp. They're going to get all the stamps, and I don't see any more blockades left. It appears the Oakland A's are going to become the Las Vegas A's. So let's go to Skills in Vallejo on here with Willard and Dibs. Hey, Skills, what are you doing?
Hey, Willard. Hey, Dibs. I am doing 2 things. I'm going through my Facebook page, making fun of my friends, and then I'm going through my Instagram page, making fun of some other friends.
Okay.
It's fun Wednesday.
That's it? You're laughing at them, Skills?
Hey, my friends are pretty goofy. They deserve what I give to them.
Why are you taking that stance on this?
It's just the way it goes, man. When you have friends, you got to give them a hard time.
Well, I get that, but, beyond your friends, do you see the bigger picture here?
Okay, well, I'm talking about the Giants and the A's. I'm a Giants fan since 1989, since right after they lost the series.
Yep.
And like you said, I am angry. I am very angry about this, about the A's moving. And I'm going to get through this call. I'm not going to curse or anything, but I'm going to get emotional probably, so please bear with me. I just want to say that the A's have always been there. And I've been to almost as many A's games in my life as Giants games, and I've had so much fun at those games. The only time I've seen a Hall of Famer pitch in person was Randy Johnson, both times pitching against the A's. Once in '92 for the Mariners, once in '09 for the Giants. And those memories are cherished. And for this man, I'm not going to say his name, but for this man to come in here, just to rip one man, to rip this whole community apart so he can put more rooms on his mansion, it disgusts me to my core. And Oakland does not deserve this. You can be a Giants fan and still support the other city. I'm a 49ers fan too, and I always supported the Raiders. I was sad when they left too. This is, I wanted to be at the game last night. I couldn't make it to the game last night to protest. And I know deep down, like you guys were talking about yesterday, that at the end of the day, it's probably not going to do a whole lot. But we have to feel like we're being heard. And I say we, I'm not an A's fan, like I said, but people who care about the A's have to feel like they're being heard, like they matter. And I can only imagine what it feels like for them right now. Because when I was 12 years old, and I read a paper, not fully understanding how economics work in baseball, but when I read that my Giants were going to Florida, I was heartbroken. Mm-hmm. And to this day, Willard and Dibs, I give love to Peter McGowan, even on the other side, for keeping us from going through that. Because I don't know what would have happened to me if we had lost our Giants. And I just feel so bad for the A's fans. I'll tell you one more thing, and I'll let you go, is that I am not a violent person. I would never condone or endorse it. But if I ever meet either one of those two men, it'll be a meeting they will never, ever forget.
Skills, thanks, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. 888-957-9570. This is the second time in my life that I've been on the air when a team announced that it was moving. It happened in San Diego
Chargers,
as well.
yeah.
I have not grown up with my heartstrings attached to either of these teams, so it allows me to stay rather calm as we guide through these conversations. But when people call in or make their point and go, it's a business. He's running a business. He's allowed to do what he wants. If he's making money, it's a business. Every single time this happens and I'm on the air, people call and they cry. And I want to ask, I know, John, you're not listening right now, but I want you to hear that and understand that it's not like any other business.
Right.
When Home Depot closes in your town, you don't cry. You go get your hardware somewhere else. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So stop making it sound the same and stop making it sound like when big billionaire owners do this, it's okay and it's their right to do it.
It's not okay, but it is their right to do it. And that's, I mean,
it's a collective, though. It's not their right
No,
until
it
they're
is.
empowered by a bunch of other people who have power.
Correct. And unfortunately, these teams that should belong to the people, the Oakland Athletics, if you want to rank the people who care about the Oakland Athletics and you include John Fisher in those rankings, he's probably dead last in terms of the amount of people who care about the A's and went to the games as a kid with their kids, spent their time and their hard-earned money going to watch this team, and he doesn't have that same connection to this team that's no longer going to be here. So, yes, you're right in terms of the emotional connection and all the rest of it, but unfortunately, pro sports is, at its essence, a business, and as the business owner, he does have that right to make the decision, and there are no rules. There's nobody preventing him. In fact, Major League Baseball is encouraging him to make this decision.
Yep.
So it sucks that so many people are emotionally connected to this, and even though you've been prepared for this for, 5, 7, 12 years, the finality of today...
It never hits.
It doesn't hit until you get the finality of it. So even though you're prepared for it, and you pre-grieved it.
Nah.
You can't really grieve it until it actually happens.
Yeah, anybody ever have a parent who's been sick for 5 or 7 years and you know it's coming and then they pass away? It hits you. It hits you. It hits you differently that day. Jay Money and Hayward next up on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Jay Money, what are you doing? Jay Money, you there? All right, no time for that. Let's go to LJ in Oakland. LJ, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What are you doing?
Hey, guys. I'm sitting in traffic trying to get out of the city from work, back to the East Bay, and I've been listening to you guys a ton and love both of you very much. Appreciate the candidness and the love. But what I wanted to say was, I've been reflecting. I wish I could have gone to the game last night, but was at work. But, I grew up in the Coliseum in the era of Luis Polonia, trading Mother's Cookies baseball cards in the stands before the game with my grandparents. And my kids, their first baseball game was at the Coliseum. We got awesome tickets from the GM from an automotive group I was working for behind home plate. This is a magical place. And I really hope that it was great to hear what happened last night. But, I had a feeling what was coming. I know you guys did too, but it's an unfortunate day. I mean, the Bay Area looks different all the way around. Either way you look at it, I'm also a Raiders fan to that point. I do appreciate the Giants and the Niners as well. I'm one of the unique Bears out there. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with the group and just kind of give a shout out to the Mother's Cookies era out there in the world that are feeling the pain right now.
Thank you so much, LJ.
Mother's Cookies did bring me back.
I can't remember who did this for me. Honestly, it might have been my uncle. I think one year over the holidays, he actually got both the Giants and the A's, that whole Mother's Cookie card set, framed, uncut.
Wow.
So it was like a big wall thing, and I had both of them. Even though I grew up diehard Giants fan, I did not root for the A's, but I was a kid who, just like everybody else, these ball players were bigger than life. So if you wanted to put Canseco and McGuire and Carney Lansford up on the wall in Mother's Cookie baseball card form, I was all in. So I had that. I can't believe he just brought that up.
That's awesome.
I had that on the wall, man.
Yeah, and just hearing him wax poetic about the Coliseum and what a cool place it was, you have to be of a certain age to remember when the Coliseum really was a cool place with views of the East Bay Hills before Mount Davis. But even through it all, through Mount Davis being erected, through the A's having so many postseason failures where they just couldn't seem to get by the Yankees, and then the new ownership comes in and squeezes the life out of the product. Ace fans still showed up, and they were loyal, and last night was a good example of that loyalty.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's go to Scott in Vallejo next up here on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Scott, what are you doing?
What's going on, Willard and Dibs? So I'm a long-time A's fan, man. I grew up riding my bicycle. I was just a wee child, probably 6 or 7. My dad would take us out there, a couple of kegs in the truck, our bicycles. We came back, he had a bunch of friends. After the game, same thing. We barbecue and ride bicycles. I seen Reggie Jackson hit him out of the stadium when I was just a little kid. I seen Ricky Henderson break the stolen base record. I saw Nolan Ryan no-hit the A's there. And to be honest, like with all this back and forth for the last few years and just the lack of respect for fans, the fan base, like I'm so done with baseball. I really don't even care. Like at this point, it's a done deal. Bummer. Oh, well. I'm not watching baseball anyway now, so I'm just whatever. I'm too busy with real life and real stuff. So
yeah, see, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, Scott. Thank you very much. That's what I'm getting at when I talked yesterday about how John Fisher is Darth Vader, but there is an emperor. Like, yes, there's no excuse for John Fisher. And by the way, I'm going to tweet out during the break here. I'm going to tweet out a picture of him because too many people don't know what he looks like. I want you all to know what he looks like.
John Fisher?
Yeah. Too many people are just like, this is like a name.
I thought he was just a non-human entity.
Right.
I didn't know he was actually a person with a face.
Like a Gap sweatshirt that's actually morphed into a human being.
Yeah, like
he's
what's
actual
that,
person.
AI? He's like a chat GPT or whatever that is.
Yeah, but when you talked yesterday about, well, Major League Baseball and the other owners, and they get a relocation fee, which got waived anyway, like, what is in it for you? And you're right. The reason they vote for him, because they don't ever want it to come back to them. They don't want anybody having oversight on them. They're billionaires, so they're like, don't question me. I do what I want. So they vote for you in the hopes that someday if they need you to vote for them, they'll be there for you. But it's very short-sighted because the growth of the game should matter to all of them. And I think there are a lot of people, like our last caller, who when they see stuff like this, they're like, good riddance.
Yeah.
See you later, game. I'm out.
And I wonder about Raiders fans who, were diehard Raiders fans and now are not football fans anymore because you can't stomach going to be a 49er fan and you don't want to go to Vegas to cheer on your Raiders. So I know a handful of Raiders fans who've decided to just not be football fans anymore. So to your point, the long-term viability of the product could be hurt.
Oh, gosh, look who's on the line.
It's a VIP, Mark.
Oh, look who's here. What a perfect time. Judy and Moraga is with us here on Willard and Dibs. Hi, Judy. What are you doing?
Oh, my God. I have missed you guys so much. I have called in always at the wrong time, like when somebody was, going to be speaking about, like an interview kind of thing. But I've missed you so much.
You tell Lucas when you call, you change the interview. Judy's here.
I love it. I love it. But I have to tell you guys, honestly, it's almost like we're all, the sports, Bay Area sports, everybody's grieving all of these changes. And there's so much going on. Even just listening to you guys talk about your memories of, mother's cookies and all the memories and the stuff that makes all of this kind of change stuff just so hard for loyal fans who just don't want to see this kind of stuff.
Well,
happen.
Judy, it's interesting. We're sitting here on a day like today talking about the excitement of the Giants, who are having their most optimistic moment in 2 seasons for sure. The birth of the young guys. Luis Matos comes up, base hit in his first major league at bat, and you're talking about that excitement, and then the dichotomy between that and what's happening with the other baseball team in the Bay. It's overwhelming, to be honest with you, and I feel it. Yeah, with the transition going on with the Warriors, even though that's just basketball and it's not actually done yet, there's a lot of sadness out there.
Completely.
There's no two ways about it.
And the parallel to the 90s is even more appropriate because when the Giants were threatening to leave to Tampa, The A's were fresh off of 3 consecutive trips to the World Series. In 1992, they had 96 wins. And the A's at that time were drawing damn near 3 million fans. The Giants were trying to leave their decrepit stadium.
Yeah.
And yet, in the 11th hour, Peter McGowan and company rode in and saved the day. And we all were dreaming about Joe Lacob doing the same thing. But this faceless entity that apparently has a face, he wasn't going to sell, and now he's taking his team to Vegas. It just makes you sick.
We're brought to you by Chilton Auto Body, and we got plenty more time for your phone calls on anything Giants or A's related. The breaking news: the assembly in Nevada has passed the deal, and so now it is a few foregone conclusions next before it's a done deal, and the A's are moving to Vegas.